What's up guys? In my last video we did an unboxing and first impressions of the BDS 4-link coilover kit for this 2016 F250. We also compared it to this ReadyLift 3.5-inch SST that came on the truck when I bought it from the salvage auction. This truck is going to get a 1967 Ford body, so we got a lot of work to do on the body, but I want to get everything underneath right, get it aligned and make sure everything's solid there because it was hit, had 2 pop tires, broken rims, and I'm not really trusting the parts that are under here. So we're going to start that tonight, getting into this kit. My buddy TJ's over here and we have not read the directions. We've both either had a kit like this on our truck before, or he's installed a similar kit on his Bronco, which has a very different, frame and everything. So we will see how this goes. He's got an 85 Bronco and my 95 is just leveled. And the last time I did not even trust myself to do this. I had low range 4x4 in Wilmington, North Carolina do my kit. But now I've got my own shop, my lift. It's been about 7-8 years later, and I am ready to try this out. So let's see how it goes. Making the loudest noise known to man over here. Truck's up in the air now. We redid how we've got the front arm because even with my engineering here that I was excited about getting it in here, it was kind of in the way. So we've got the jack stand supporting this corner, and we've got a kind of an offset staggered arm set up here, so a little bit weird, but we got some big jack stands under it. Should be good. Gonna go ahead and work on getting the radius arm out, which includes kind of dropping all this stuff, disconnecting the track bar. We're ultimately going to replace this mount, as well as let's see, the mount for the radius arms themselves. So this is all going to have rivets removed here, so that's going to take us a while. We'll be working on that. You can see here is the new bracket. That's for the track bar, the big old beefy track bar bracket. And then here is one of the 4-link brackets. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes there on the outside. So it'll be going right here up like this. And then there's some in there as well. So let's get to it. I started grinding at the heads on the factory mount here, and then TJ's got the front shock out, track bars undone, brake lines are loose, so we can drop this down. And as y'all can see, about ready to pull this spring out. I'll push down on it some if you want to grab the spring. Grab it right here. Yep. All right, there we go. So I believe we're going to be cutting it right here to accommodate the new bracket for the coilover, and we'll see. We'll probably work on the other side before we get to that point, but we might just do one side at a time. We'll see what happens. This is going to be a bit of a process though. I meant to get an air chisel for knocking these off after cutting X's in them, but forgot to buy that, so might be just getting it ready for tomorrow. goes. Alright. Bye-bye radius arm. Just gotta get this bracket off, get the new bracket on, and then do a lot of other stuff. At this point, we've got the coil out and the shock, the radius arm out, and we are working on getting rid of this track bar bracket from ReadyLift. It is slightly different than the one from BDS right here. And I just want to have it all match. It probably would work because the height's about the same, but we're going to go ahead and put the proper stuff on there so it all matches up. We do have the lower coilover mount in place from BDS, so that's exciting. And with this cut, we can drill holes and mount the top piece there. So we've got this that we're going to mount up top there, and also our coilover external reservoir will go on that. So once we get that in there, we'll be able to fit the coilover, and that'll be super exciting. And we'll work on the 4-link as well. So kind of doing one side at a time with it, just so we kind of know where everything goes. And just seeing stuff we need to replace, like this pitman arm. It's definitely gonna have to come off. And a couple other things, like this is a ReadyLift spacer. So I have a different one, might be slightly different size. We'll see what we end up doing with that. I don't have the adjustable track bar from BDS yet, but I'd like to do that. So I'm gonna plan on replacing this one. And this fitting on the other side is super loose. Should give more resistance than that. So definitely need to replace that as well. Plan on doing U-joints, ball joints, all that stuff, wheel bearing, because this thing was in a wreck. Front and rear of this side had flat tires and cracked rims, so definitely some damage done. We're going to try to replace everything that it touched. So here's a comparison of the ReadyLift. You can see it's stamped there. Track bar, drop bracket. It looks like it, comes down a couple inches there, maybe 3 inches from here to there. Not sure what the factory size would be. This one is considerably, they're probably twice as big, like a 6-inch drop. So you're going to have nice level track bar. Should be parallel with the axle. So for the best bump steer, elimination, should be real smooth. I know that this is probably a bracket that they use on multiple kits, like the 4-inch and the 6-inch, and I would rather have everything dropped all the way low down like factory spec versus something that's not quite as far of a drop. So that should be good. Nice beefy product, should be pretty solid. Got all excited about the new bracket, and TJ just brought up a good point that we need to get this pitman arm out still, and the nut for it is right here. So thankfully he caught that before we tightened this all down. We're just gonna leave this in place loose so we know where all the bolts go and everything, but we are gonna have to take that back out to get the drop pitman arm in. So really stoked again on the fact that this is gonna be lowered appropriately, even though the lift height is not really but a 1/2 inch difference. And then this is gonna be dropped a lot more. So everything should be nice and level as if it were factory. And with the coilovers and everything, this thing should ride better than factories. All right, if y'all can, you're so cute. You wanna be in this? TJ's in the video now. All right, now I'm smiling. Okay, it is Wednesday night, about 11:30, if y'all can read my clock back there. And we made some progress, pretty excited. I was just gonna come out here and kind of figure out what size sockets I needed, and we were gonna start this on Sunday, so a little bit ahead of schedule for once. Pretty stoked on that. But we'll come back out here, finish this up, get that pitman arm replaced there, and get this bolted up. Keep working on the 4-link and all that good stuff, but moving right along. Really stoked on these big, heavy BDS parts that have the appropriate drop to make this thing ride like a Cadillac. Better than a Cadillac. My wife has a Cadillac. That thing rides rough as heck. We're gonna actually try to level that thing, put some Nittos on it, give it some sidewall because it's pretty stiff. So this thing should be so smooth they don't even have a word for it yet. So we'll see what y'all think once it's done. What's up, guys? We are pretty busy in the truck house tonight. As you can see, we have the patina truck pulled in. 1967 I picked up for its nice looking paint job here, and we've test fit some 33s on it, just barely. We are thinking about running 35s on it once I get this thing swapped over to the crew cab frame. But with that, I've also got mid BDS kit install here, and then I've now had problems with the daily driver. So we'll be getting back to the BDS kit. Right now we were to the point of taking out rivets on the factory radius arm mount so we can do the 4-link, and my daily driver broke down. So all these Fords, and the only one that I was driving, was street legal, was this Bronco, and started it up on my way home from work. The belt flew off and ended up on the ground. Lost power steering and no alternator, also no water pump, so it overheated a little bit, but was able to make it the short drive home and start troubleshooting it. So figured out that the bolt actually sheared that holds on the tensioner for the belt, and part of that bolt was still in the bracket. So we got the bracket off. It's over here on the bench, and as you can see from the collection of tools we have over here and all the buddies helping out, we don't really know what we're doing over here. We're just making a mess, but we finally got some progress made here where the new tensioner is on. And because I don't want it to happen again, and I got a little creative with the threads on there, they were kind of stripped. I've actually welded a little bit on there to make sure it doesn't come out again. So I'm going to do that some more, but wanted to go ahead and show y'all another project we have going on. And here's the old tensioner. You can see where that bolt sheared off. So got that off. That took me all day. I used a drill press at work to get that cut out, and then finally got that where some threads would bite and dig down in there, and then welded it up just now tonight with the new Eastwood MP250i. Tonight though, my coworker's got this fuel tank skid plate thing here that holds up his bullnose F-150 skid fuel tank. It's got dual tanks, and there's two of these, and it is pretty crusty. He was telling me that he wanted to get a wire wheel because just sanding it at work wasn't doing much, and I was like, I got the perfect thing, a Contour SCT. So I haven't unboxed this yet. We're gonna finish opening it up, check it out, see how well that works. I'll let him finish that up, and we'll give you a little bit of before and after of this rusty skid plate. So here's a good look at the rust on this fuel tank plate. You can see it's pretty crusty. Nothing's flaking off. He got rid of all that, but it's just not a good surface to paint to right now. It's still pretty rusty, so we're gonna try to clean that up real quick. I haven't used a Contour SCT yet, but it's got a bunch of different wheel options. I've got mine in a drawer right here. So we have from a steel wire drum to a 40 grit abrasive, 60 grit, let's see, as well as an 80 grit. I've got skinny wheels and wide wheels. So we're gonna try it out and let you know what we think. All right, so this is the Contour SCT. Pretty excited about this. Something that I knew I would use eventually with all my rusty projects, but wasn't really sure when I would get a chance to use it. I wanted to try it out. So take this opportunity, open it up. Basically, it's like a grinder, like a flap disc type deal, except it's a lot bigger, so it takes off a lot more at once. And it works a little bit differently, but all right, we got a book that I'm not gonna read, and then already got a wheel on it out of the box. So I'll probably try this wheel out just to see like how it comes out of the box, but I don't know what grit this is. Let's see. It has a direction. This doesn't look that rough. Let's see what this does. I wonder if I can compare it. Let me look in this drawer real quick. See if I have one of these. So it's red. Finishing wheel. That's what this is. It's the same color. So that's an 80 grit finishing wheel. Paint, rust, and metal conditioning. Let's see how good that does. I might do the more aggressive one, but that should be good there. So fit and finish. She's a sturdy gal. This looks powder coated on here, so that's pretty nice. And it's not too heavy. It's definitely heavier on this end, but I think that'll be good for actually having some pressure on the object that you're trying to sand. So let's see what else is in here. It has a handle too, so you can hold it like that. So we'll slap that on there real quick and then show you what that looks like. All right, so it's got some spare brushes for the motor. I did open the book, see what that was, so I lied to y'all, but now we're throwing the handle on. We checked that this was tight. It's lefty-tighty because of the direction of rotation. So the handle looks pretty solid, and it came with these Allen wrenches, so that's nice. They're only 2 sizes you need. Then that should be ready to go. So we'll fire it up, see what it does. 200 outlets in this place, thankfully, so should be good to go. All right, how do I work this thing? There's that button. I like that. So you don't have to hold the trigger the whole time. It has cruise control on it. You can set that button right there. So let's see what this thing does. Got decent amount of cord. We'll move it a little closer. And yeah, let's see what it does. So I'm thinking we try a more aggressive wheel. Since this is a finishing wheel, I have a feeling that it's going to take a while. But it's less rusty, but I think we'll try one of the other ones out that I got. So swapping this finishing wheel out for the steel wire drum. So this will be like what we were talking about using. Would just be a wire wheel. This is like a wire wheel on steroids and a lot bigger. So let me just make sure I put this on the right way. Okay, let's see. I guess it's universal either way, looks like. And then just get that slide in there. Try not to poke yourself. Has a little spacer. Doing this with one hand. Except I have someone holding it for me, so it's cheating, but alright. Oh yeah, and it's lefty tighty. Don't forget that. Alright. There we go. Alright, let's try that out. Now we'll probably get some sparks and some more excitement. Great handle on this thing. So that's definitely taking the rust off. I still see there's some like pitting here, so that's going to take some more time to get that off. But I think compared to a wire wheel, this is a lot faster. What do you think? We decided to try out a third wheel. This is the 40 grit abrasive or aggressive paint, rust, and filler removal. I'm assuming the wire wheel is more aggressive, but I don't know. This thing's pretty gnarly. So we're gonna try this out too. And then I'm planning to send my buddy Alex from work on his way to take care of this at his house and then kind of see the end result, because it's getting late and pretty loud out here. And we're going to try to get my Bronco running so I can drive it to work tomorrow. So we'll get back to that right after this. Oh yeah, that's way better. That's way better than the wire wheel. Look at that. Dang. Okay, let's go back over the wire wheel and see if we can get rid of all this like stuff that's thick on there. That's crazy. Okay, so 40 grit is better than the wire wheel. Wow, that's freaking gnarly. Yeah, that's the one you need to take home right there. That'll clean it right up. Yeah, I think this is definitely gonna be a must-have. All my rusty junk around here, we're gonna be using this thing a lot, so stay tuned. I am back in the truck house after a few delays, like the daily driver breaking down. I had a family member visiting. They had to go to the hospital and then get emergency surgery. And then both my kids got sick, fevers, throwing up, all that stuff. So we're back out here. That's how it goes after working on weekends. We're chipping away at this stuff. But I want to show y'all in that time, I've had some parts off getting powder coated, as well as ordered a few things from Fox and BDS. So let's see what we got. So first off, I want to talk about what I wanted to get powder coated. So I had this transmission crossmember bracket here that was getting just like pummeled by rocks by the previous owner, and that thing was pretty crusty. You can see there's various things that are crusty in here, like this bracket. I just ordered a new one of those as well, so waiting on that before I reinstall everything. But a couple little things that weren't painted got kind of crusty from this thing sitting around waiting for me to get to it. There's also, where does it go, a cross member right here. I couldn't see that because it's blocked by the arm there, but there's a transfer case cross member that was just as crusty that I sent off to get powder coated as well. So let's start with checking out how those look now that they're powder coated. Also got the rear drive shaft. We'll talk about that as well. And then I'll show you the stuff I got from Fox to finish off this kit. I want to start with showing y'all this front drive shaft. So this is the original untouched front drive shaft, aside from me taking it apart with help of my buddy TJ, but you can see how crusty this is in the light there. I closed the garage doors because my neighbor's mowing, but still got the window open. Might hear it a little bit, but you can see with that daylight there, this thing looks like garbage. That's just the way these uncoated, factory drive shafts are. There's a lot of things they leave uncoated on these trucks, and me trying to get this thing to like top-notch show quality level when it's done, I don't want to leave anything like that, so that's why I sent these off to get powder coated. In the process, I realized how much of a pain it is to get this seal off the end of it there, as well as this like ball fitting here for the double cardigan, and they only cost like 300 bucks to get a brand new one from Rock Auto. So I just ordered one. I'm gonna see if I like it when it comes in. It should be already painted black according to the pictures. If not, I'm gonna be a little butthurt, but I'll paint it, spray paint it or something. But let's check out what the original drive shaft, the rear drive shaft, looks like now that I got it back from powder coating, because it is pretty nice. Here is my factory rear drive shaft. It was identical to the front one, just as crusty. And if y'all can see that in this lighting, I forget the actual paint code of powder coating this is, but it's like a OEM, like semi-gloss black. Really stoked on how that came out. Next up, we have the transmission crossmember. This has that same black coating. They were done at the same time. Really stoked on this. This piece was pretty crusty as well, and my frame is solid. My frame looks good on this truck. It's a little dirty still from rock crawling in Uwari, but the original coating is holding up really well, and I put some fluid film on it, and that's been holding up. But some of these parts that are bolted to the frame were just super crusty. So this looks great. Really excited about this. As soon as I put the truck on the lift, all this stuff like really popped and was an eyesore with all the rust on it. So let me show you the last part, and then we'll get into the new BDS stuff. So this here is the transfer case skid plate. I called it a cross member before. It's more of just a skid plate, so you don't bump into the transfer case. So really excited how this came out, and you can still see like everything's stamped in there. It's got a real clean finish to it. I don't know if y'all can read that, but none of that's important. It just looks nice and OEM quality. I'm getting fingerprints all over it, but it's underneath the truck. I just wanted it to be nice and black. And when you're crawling under this thing, trying to look at the Fox shocks and all that good stuff, you're not gonna see like, wow, there's rust all over this truck. So trying to get rid of all that before I get into the body work, just so I have a good foundation. I'm building this thing from the ground up. So starting with the frame, suspension, hubs, all that stuff. Once I get the body work going, I'll dive into the engine as well when I'm probably getting the body painted. So that's kind of my process right now. Making sure I have a solid, actual donor truck, good frame with good suspension, that'll hold in alignment and all that stuff, and then work on the body, and then finally get paint and engine stuff done. All right, let's see what else we got. While I'm back here, I never did show y'all all the random stuff I think that came with this F100. So I want to show you this, or excuse me, this is a 67 F250, but thought this was pretty funny, this crooked pipe wrench here. That thing, somebody really put some effort into that. And some of the random parts back here makes me think that somebody that was like an 18-wheeler driver or something like that worked here, because there's these random big pieces of metal for different things. That could just be from an F250 or something, I'm not sure, but a lot of bigger stuff in here that I've added to my scrap pile, but this thing was pretty neat. I might hang it up in the shop somewhere. I'm gonna start with the BDS part here. So this is a rectangular box. Let's see what's inside of it. This is my BDS adjustable track bar. I had one of these on my 2011 6.7 Powerstroke, the first truck that I lifted up and put coilovers and all that stuff on. Really liked the look of it. I'm only doing a 4-inch lift this time, so I may not really need this, but I think it'll help dial in the alignment and get everything perfect. So nice powder coated part there. Really excited about that. That will replace the one under there that's just a solid fixed piece, which also looks rusty, so gonna look better too. I'll give y'all a look real quick at where that's gonna go. So as you can see, we've got the original track bar here. It's not in too bad a shape, but this thing having been in an accident and the alignment being messed up, I want to replace all this stuff, as well as ball joints and the drag link and everything there. So I got some plans for that later I'll be showing you, but that's the new part from BDS, is this track bar right here, which goes to the bracket that I have sitting on the ground somewhere. I think it's over there, but there's a new BDS drop bracket for that as well. And there's the Fox Coilovers that I showed y'all in the last video of this series. For these boxes, I went ahead and cut the tape to make the unboxing process a little quicker, but really excited about what's in here, and I have not seen them yet. So, let's see what we got. Okay, big old Fox box. Look at that. We have a Fox 2.0 with the external reservoir shock. Super stoked on that. So I've got these. You can see this will be a front one because of the way that it is. But no, it's got this like top mount here that's gonna go right over here. Pretty sure this is the front one. It's gonna go right in that hole there. So big coilover right there in the middle, and then this external reservoir shock will be right there. So we're gonna have a lot going on between the coilovers having reservoirs and then these as well. So I think that's gonna look super trick, very race ready. So that I believe is a front one. Let's see what else we got in another box. And that also comes with a clamp kit so that can hold that reservoir in place. Really stoked on that. I mentioned in the last video that I realized I hadn't ordered shocks the first time that I ordered this whole kit. And now, thankfully, some time's passed, I was able to upgrade and go with the reservoir shocks. I think they're gonna look a lot better and perform even better if I ever wanna take this thing like, you know, fast through the desert or anything like that, take a serious road trip with a lot of bumpy roads or something, should be good to go. So put this back. All right. So I'm guessing this one is a rear one then. I also just basically went off of the lift height I'm doing of a 4-inch lift. So let's see. Dropping stuff. All right, so we got the same idea here. As y'all can see, this is like a loop mount, top and bottom, so different from the front for sure. This is definitely the rear. And you can see that Fox 2.0 with the reservoir there. And then this is the clamp style for it. Really stoked on that. It's gonna hold it right to it like that and look super nice. I think that's gonna be just an upgrade even above the normal Fox shocks for here having the reservoirs. I think is gonna be awesome. So really stoked on that. Excited to share this with y'all. Cannot wait to get this stuff on here. I think it's a big milestone to have like the suspension totally done, and then I can move on to the body. But I've had this stuff from the rest of the kit in boxes for over 2 years or so, and I'm excited to get that done now that we have the shop and the car lift. This last box here I'm really stoked on. This is something that I saw when I got the truck up on the lift and I started looking at it, and I was like, you know what would be really nice while I'm at it, I'm diving into all this stuff, is what's in this box right here. So let's check these out. I cut the tape on one of them. Let's see, I think it's this one. Nope, let me grab another one. I got 4 of the same thing in here, so let's see. All right, I think I rolled the box around and forgot which one it was. Oh, I did open that one. All right, here we go. This right here is a Fox bump stop. Look at that freaking thing right there. That is thick and beefy. This is the first time I've ever held one of these in my hands. I've seen these on all of the like trophy trucks and pre-runners and everything out in the desert. I'm in North Carolina, but I love that stuff. I think this thing is gonna be sick. So when my axles come up and hit this thing, it's like a little bit of extra cushion versus the little factory foam they have there. So let me show you that. This is what we're gonna be replacing. So I was working on installing this BDS kit, and part of it is a drop bracket for this little piece of foam right here. And this is a almost 10-year-old truck now, 2016. It's 8 years old, and that thing's worn out. I need to get a new one anyway. And every lift kit ever that I can imagine has just a drop bracket. It's a plastic puck that extends that down to get it closer to the axle so it can catch that and keep everything from bottoming out. Normally on this truck being like a coil spring truck, the coils will get bound up if you don't have that. This thing having the Fox coilovers now, if you don't have a bump stop, it can basically max out the shock, bottom it out, and has a built-in bump stop, but it's just gonna tear it up over time. So now my plan is to make this hole bigger and have this bad boy up in the frame to where it's coming out in the factory location, the same spot as this. And I'm gonna make basically out of round tubing and a cap on the end where this stem can mount to, it's going to be up inside of here and strike the same factory location. Super stoked on that. So all you're going to see is that little bit sticking out right there, and you can see it is not too much bigger than the factory one, so I can kind of play with where I put it so that it accounts for the lift. And because I have 4 of them, I'll be able to do the same thing back here. So this one I'm going to get creative with as well. I'll have to figure out exactly where I want to put it. Y'all might be able to see the factory one normally hits the lift block. I'm hoping to run this truck without blocks at all with the new BDS leaf springs. So we'll see where that all lines up, and I may have some kind of crazy bracket going on for this, but really excited to have these. I have never had a truck with bump stops, nor really been around one being in North Carolina, but I think they are just like next level. Compared to that little piece of foam, this is space technology versus, you know, automotive. I think this thing's freaking crazy. So with that, guys, yes, I am planning on taking this thing to the moon. We're talking about space now. We might jump this thing at some point. I want to bump and strap it, so we're gonna have the bump stops for landing and the limiting straps, so if you jump the thing and the axle sags down, it catches it before it maxes out all the shocks and springs and everything else. So planning on making this thing look capable, maybe actually do it some. I'm gonna send it out in the Outer Banks some when I can, when there's nobody around to get run over or anything like that, as well as take this thing on some trips one day to SEMA and maybe swing through Moab and go who knows where, find some dunes with it. But planning on going anywhere and everywhere and taking the family with me with this truck. So I'm starting down here with the suspension, and I cannot wait to see how this all comes together. So next thing I've got going on is getting the frame prepped for the new 4-link. So as I showed before, when I got this bracket off, there is some corrosion in between the coatings of the bracket and the frame. Really not bad, but I'm gonna take that Eastwood SCT tool, the Contour SCT, to knock off that little bit of rust. I'm not gonna use anything super abrasive, just get that little surface rust off. Then I'm gonna take some Eastwood rust encapsulator. That's what I'm planning on doing there. I just ordered some rattle cans to spray right on the frame. After that, I'm gonna do the 4-link kit, put a little fluid film black around the gaps for good measure to make sure I don't end up with any running rust coming through. And I'm also gonna touch up some stuff on the frame, make sure this thing looks good, clean all this dirt off of here. This is just clay on top of my fluid film. So I'm gonna clean it up real good, get it looking right, touch it all up, and then we'll get this thing down on the ground, figure out the ride height, and I can build the body around it, because I'm planning on running 40s on a 4-inch lift. So I'm gonna need all the wheel well clearance I can get. I'm gonna have to fab up the wheel wells, make them a little bigger, and I need to know exactly where this thing sits. That's why I'm starting with this, so y'all stay tuned. I noticed this box was longer than these bump stop boxes, and remember, ordered a couple more things. So let's check this out. This is the front brake line upgrade kit that you can get as part of the lift kit that I did not get the first time around, so I ordered these. So that will be replacing this section here of this crusty old 8-year-old hose and the drop bracket and everything. So we're gonna go from this hard line all to this new braided line here versus just the rubber hose. So really stoked on that. Got those for the rear as well. So that should be this other box. Get in here. Nice. So yeah, we got a pair for front and a pair for rear. So we'll have nice braided lines so that when we send this thing to the moon, we don't snap off a brake line. Also gonna be putting in some new hubs in this thing. Working on, like I said, ball joints, tie rods, anti-sway bar, end links, all kinds of stuff I want to do to this thing. So thank y'all so much for watching. This has been a long time coming. I'm really excited about the level of quality products that we're putting on this thing. Got a lot of awesome companies working with me, so huge shout out to the ones in this video: BDS, Fox, Eastwood, Fluid Film, you name it. We have some awesome support. Brunt boots now, keeping my feet comfy while I'm out here working. This is going to be awesome, so y'all stay tuned. Be sure to check us out on all our social media platforms. Really helps us out. We are growing our small business of Grappaholics and going to have a sweet truck to represent it once we get this thing done.